So how do you go from a $15 billion crypto empire to a federal prison dormitory? Well, that's the story of Sam Bankman-Fried, the fallen king of crypto. And we're going to dive into his high-stakes battle for freedom from behind bars. Yeah, that's how Sam Bankman-Fried, SBF, described his new reality in a pretty shocking clandestine interview. It's a stark admission, right? Especially from a guy who used to move entire markets with just a single tweet. So what could possibly bring the king of crypto to call his life soul-crushing? Let's get into it.
I mean, just look at this comparison. The contrast is absolutely staggering. On one side, you have the SBF of 2022. He's this political megadonor running a global trading empire. Then you flash forward to today, and he's an inmate navigating a prison economy where rice is the new currency, all while angling for a presidential pardon. It is a fall from grace of, well, truly historic proportions.
Okay, so how did he get here? In this first section, we're going to explore the day-to-day reality of his new life, which is a world away, to say the least, from the luxury and influence he once had.
This right here is the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. It's an administrative facility, which means it houses all kinds of inmates from all different security levels. For SBF, this imposing building became his entire world, shared with a mix of, white-collar criminals and some seriously hardened ex-gangsters.
So inside, SBF is living in a huge open dorm with 35 other guys. He's on the record saying his vegan meals are inedible and smell terrible, which has forced him to survive mostly on beans and rice from the commissary. All of this led to him losing about 25 pounds. To pass the time, he has a tablet, with no games of course, for movies, and, kind of surprisingly, he's become a big-time chess player among the other inmates.
$15 billion. At his absolute peak, that was his theoretical net worth. It's a number that's so big it's honestly hard to even wrap your head around. Just keep that figure in mind when we look at the currency he's dealing in now.
And this is it. This is the new economy he's operating in. The guy once famous for super complex high-frequency trading is now reportedly finding arbitrage opportunities by trading commissary items like rice and muffins. He's literally gone from trading billions in digital assets to bartering staple foods just to get by.
But SBF didn't just adapt to his surroundings. No, he made a move that sent absolute shockwaves way beyond the prison walls. An unauthorized broadcast. In what was just an incredibly brazen move, SBF gave a 40-minute interview to Tucker Carlson, apparently on a smuggled smartphone, all without any kind of approval from the Bureau of Prisons. This was his first major public appearance since his conviction, and wow, did it have immediate and severe consequences.
The fallout was fast and hard. He was allegedly thrown into solitary confinement and then transferred all the way to the Federal Transfer Center in Oklahoma City. And during that interview, while he was maintaining his innocence, he dropped this surreal detail. His cellmate was the music mogul Sean Diddy Combs, who he just described as kind.
So you have to ask, why would he take such a massive risk? Well, that leads us straight to the strategic motive behind the whole thing, what a lot of people are calling the pardon gambit. You see, the choice of platform was almost certainly not an accident. Critics immediately started arguing that this was a totally calculated play to appeal to a conservative audience and maybe, just maybe, gain favor with the Trump administration for a presidential pardon.
And SBF himself basically poured gasoline on that fire. During the interview, he made it a point to mention his political donations, kind of suggesting he'd pivoted away from his public image as a top Democratic donor. This quote right here was a clear signal, an attempt to reposition himself as a bipartisan player with friends on both sides of the aisle.
So while this whole pardon play is unfolding in the court of public opinion, a much more formal battle is being waged in the actual courts. In early 2026, his legal team deployed a very powerful, though definitely long-shot legal tool.
They filed what's known as a Rule 33 motion. You can think of it like a legal Hail Mary. It's a request for a completely new trial, but the bar for getting one is incredibly high. You have to present brand new evidence, stuff that wasn't available at the first trial. That's so significant it likely would have created a reasonable doubt and totally changed the jury's verdict.
Okay, so this table really breaks down the heart of his appeal. The prosecution argued that FTX was totally insolvent, with a massive hole in its books. The appeal now claims it was just a short-term bank run and that the assets were there. The prosecution said he knowingly broke the law.
The appeal argues his decisions were all vetted by lawyers. And maybe the most explosive claim, they're saying the judge was biased and didn't let him have a full defense.
So what is this new evidence? Well, it reportedly includes new statements from former FTX executives, like their head of data science. And the whole point is to try and prove that the company's database was never maliciously altered to hide any wrongdoing. This is a direct shot at the prosecution's central narrative of intentional fraud.
And that brings us to the final chapter here, the endgame for the one-time crypto king. What are his real chances of pulling any of this off?
Despite all the bold legal filings and these big media plays, the reality is pretty stark. Pretty much every legal expert agrees that getting a retrial this way is an extreme long shot. The American justice system, unlike, say, the crypto market, is designed to be incredibly difficult to move.
And so we're left with this question. We've seen the monumental fall, the strange adaptation to prison life, and this multi-front strategy for freedom. Is this the fight of an innocent man who was wronged by the system? Or is it simply the last desperate gambit from a master strategist who really has nothing left to lose? Well, that's for the courts and for you to decide.